Hi, this is James Shokum. Today we're with Juan Rosario of One Love Apparel. So sit back, relax, and let the Geek Fest begin. Your turn.
Hey everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Taking time out of your day. But just a little bit about myself. My name is Juan Rosario. I'm originally from the Bronx, in New York. So lived out there for about 18 years, and I came up to New Hampshire to attend New England College over in Henniker, New Hampshire. Not sure if many people know where that is, but pretty much picture a town with one blinking light, and that's about it. And the college, of course. But I pursued an undergrad in kinesiology. For those that might not know, it's the study of the human body, and within space. So after that, I pursued my master's in occupational therapy, which is what I'm doing right now. But I took a 2-year gap, and in those 2-year gap, I've been living in New Hampshire. I've been loving it up here. Still visit New York, whenever I need to, every other couple months or so, visit family and such. But yeah, I've been up here in New Hampshire, been enjoying my life, and I started One Love Apparel about, I want to say, 7 months ago. I started in February of 2019. So I've been enjoying it ever since, and I love spreading the positive message.
Okay, and what's the basics behind One Love Apparel?
So One Love Apparel, pretty much, I want to promote positivity, self-worth, and a sense of simplicity. So I realize, like, as humans, we kind of make things complex more than it needs to be. And sometimes we forget that simple might be the answer. So pretty much that's kind of like what I went for with the apparel. But pretty much the design on the apparel is, I have a design on the chest, and the design represents an image. There's different types of images that I've released. And on the inner arm, there's a quote that pertains to the clip art or the design. And I have like kind of like a anatomical meaning behind it, the design over the chest, over the heart, because it's the strongest organ or muscle in the body. And the quote on the inner arm of the bicep, we commonly associate strength with your biceps. I'm a big WWE or WWF fan. So Hulk Hogan and his, I believe it's 24-inch pythons, like that was like the thing, back then. So just an example of how we compare bicep with strength. So it's just pretty much, I call them conversation starters. You see an image on the chest, and people will come up to you and say, "Hey, why do you have a plus and minus on your chest, or why do you have a paper plane on your chest?" And I want it to be able to create conversation that can head in any kind of direction or any direction you want.
Okay, is there any actual any added symbology behind the plus minus for the paper airplane?
Yeah. So each design has its own quote. And so let's say, for example, the plus and minus. So it's a plus, a forward slash, and a minus. And on the inner arm, it says focus on the positive. So pretty much the idea is just, positive over negatives, focus on the positives. Your mentality and your thinking kind of just changes when you start to think more positive. I've noticed that in my own daily life, and I've talked to many other people that believe in that same, I guess, agenda or mentality. As for the paper plane and military jet, so in order to describe it, it's a paper plane with a military jet shadow below it. And the quote for that one is "No dream too big." So, even though you are a paper plane, doesn't mean that you can't be a fighter jet one day. Another reason I actually created, the images is because I want people to create their own interpretation of it. So, like I said, you come across it and you make your own interpretation of, are you supporting something specific, or, it's the conversation, the questions can stem from anywhere. And I love that the different perspectives can bring that. Because again, I created, everything on my apparel, but I still hear new ideas from different people, different perspectives. And that, for whatever reason, that just, I don't know, it's like a nice feeling that there's different perspectives on it.
Cool. Is there something that basically spins you into this positive lifestyle, or is it just something you've always done?
So, like realistically, living a positive lifestyle is just hard in itself. Like, with life being the way that life is, it's hard to, just be positive no matter what. Of course, you have your moments where you might be a bit more pessimistic. Growing up, I've been very pessimistic, and I would attribute that with the lifestyle that I had growing up. In terms of like, like New York City, inner city, like that, like the ruggedness, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I always think, as long as you're breathing, as long as you're healthy, it can always be worse. So that's like, no matter what goes on in your day, that's what you have to look forward to, pretty much.
Is there some sort of turning point that you basically decided to go from the cynical to the positive, or did it just simply happen over time?
Um, I think when a lot of people started to point it out and say, Juan, you're very pessimistic, cynical, you always see the bad in things and all that kind of stuff. And I never realized that I did. I just thought I was being normal, but I was just being normal based on my own accord and my own terms. So until I started to hear from other people, I never actually started to be conscious about, my attitude towards things and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Have you noticed any major changes in your life since then, or
Yeah, honestly, like if you really want me to be honest, like this ever since I started the brand, but even like a couple months before that, I want to say, um, let's say July, exactly a year ago, July of 2018. I was kind of going through something that I couldn't explain, and it just kind of was like a wake up call of like, let me change my mentality and my perspectives on things, and not be so hard on specific things, and just that kind of stuff. And ever since I started to have that, things started to look a lot better. And of course, I get knocked down a few pegs every other day or every other week or so. But again, like I said, I had to remind myself, listen, Juan, you're here on this earth, you're still breathing, all that kind of stuff. Like, you have to keep that positivity. And I try to, but I I try to do a good job of it.
cool? So I guess we'll go to the basics. What kind of affirmations or meditations do you use on a daily basis to keep yourself positive?
Honestly, a lot of video games. Not gonna lie. I love to play PlayStation. Right now my favorite game is Dragon Ball Fighters. Fighters. Um, any fighting game, pretty much. Tekken, Street Fighter, all those. Um, but now with my clothing line, like the best thing that I get to do on like days that I have time off is just create artwork on Photoshop, or just drawing it, and I can like think of a quote that I've heard, or I kind of like I want to get like the gist of, or the point across, and then I'll just create an image based on that, and I'll just spend hours or a couple of days on putting that image together.
So that's just basically just a mindset you happen to go into every time you go into work, basically.
Uh, yeah, it's like a mindset. It's like I guess that's a perfect way of putting it. It's the mindset of, well, what do I want to tell other people? Again, one of my other shirts is a cheese, a wine, and a whiskey glass, and on the inner arm it says, "With age, you to appreciate." And that's just something that, because we put value in other things before we put value in ourselves, and we're very quick to do so. And it's just kind of things that I feel like people should know or be conscious about. But yeah, like you said, it is a mindset of like going into it, and I just think, okay, what advice should I give myself 10 years ago, or should I have given myself 10 years ago? That kind of stuff.
Cool. So that makes all the messages almost a message to yourself in a weird way.
Yeah, essentially, it's like a kind of paradoxical.
Cool. How many designs have you actually come up with so far?
Oh boy, I have my binder next to me. Let me I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 26 where I have quotes, and then I have not sorry, not quotes. Yeah, quotes. 26 quotes, and and these are like quotes that I haven't like released yet. I'm not counting, so I would say 30. Um, and then pictures wise, I have like I have at least over 20 designs, pictures that I've put together, or my girlfriend has helped me put together. So I have quite a few.
Cool. When you start designing the designs, is there anything you look for in particular, or are you just simply going for a simplicity thing?
Yeah, it's literally simplicity. Like it's of course, I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at the apparel, but the image on the front left chest, it's only 3 inches wide. So it's like if somebody gave you a canvas and said, okay, I want you to give me I want you to paint this picture of this quote, and I'm only going to give you 1.5 inches to 3 inches to do it. And you're like, oh, what do I put in those? What I like, it's uh, it, it just depends on like what I come up with first. So I have one that is I have pedestrians, like like the pedestrian yield sign, and like the walking signs, like the people on the street lights. I have a design like that pretty much, but I put my own twist to it. But it's just mainly remaining simplistic, and there's not too much on the shirt that people are like, well, what's going on? It's it's again, it's just simple. It's just its own thing.
How long does it take you to actually design one of those?
Oh boy. Honestly, I don't think that I'll ever be done because yesterday, or actually no, this morning, I spent about 3 hours touching up my first designs that I've ever made, which are the designs that are on the shirts now. Because I just wasn't happy. I was like, okay, I want to, now that I'm more, I guess I'm well versed in Photoshop and Illustrator, like I should be able to do a much better job in terms of like tracing and the different tools and coloring. So I went back in this morning and I just, I went at it of putting, fixing it up, touching things up. But like, let's say if we're starting from like A to B of, just coming up with the idea, or just creating the design, I would say about 3 to 5 hours to get a rough sketch of it on Photoshop. And of course having the drawing done. And then, after that, it's just figuring out what needs to be tweaked, or I might take a break in between then, it depends.
Cool. Just out of curiosity, I did actually go through some of the designs really quick. That's why I was sort of curious.
Right.
And where do you come up with the quote from, or is it just something you've already come through and part of the design?
Yeah. Most of the time, or when I was first creating this, I came up with the quotes first. And then, and then I created the design, and, I would have like 3 or 4 designs before I picked one that would fit best with the quote. And they'd be like vastly different. It wouldn't be like 1 or 2 things that were different. It would be vastly different. But when it came to putting pretty much just again putting it together, it was just what suits well. It was whatever I'm feeling in the moment, whatever advice that I might have remembered that somebody gave me, or something I might have heard, and I'm like, oh, you know what, that is a good point. That is something that people should be aware of, and I would get to work on that.
Cool. And how hard is it for you to actually come up with how hard is it for you to actually come up with the appropriate logo for the particular quote?
It depends. So, okay, so focus on the positive. Originally, the design for that one, and you can see it on my hoodies, not on my long sleeves, but on my hoodies, but the negative sign was blurred out. And I did that on purpose. It kind of looks like pixelated or fuzzy. I did that on purpose because, just the specific quote focus on the positive, the negative sign is blurry, the positive sign is very crisp. the positive sign is very crisp and the negative sign is blurry. So, that one was kind of self-explanatory. Again, with Aid You to Appreciate, that was kind of self-explanatory because I was thinking of different things that we put value in the older it gets. So I was thinking cars, what are they called, pearls. I was trying to find what I can do, and then I would put it on a piece of paper, and then I would ask around, hey, do you know what this means? And and I would want to get like abstract perspective views on it. I would say, let's say the hardest one for me to put something together for it, it's something that I'm coming up with right now, which is the quote. I'm not even sure what quote I even want to use because I have 15,000 quotes for it. But like the quote is at your own pace, or your lane is your lane. I wanted to refer to as your time is your time. Like, don't compare yourself to other people's time. Like, if they're more successful, than you at your age, that doesn't mean that you're on their time. You're on your own time. So I'm not sure, what design I want to go for with that, but I have like at least 10 different designs that I want to do.
Cool. Since starting the line, have you noticed a major uptick in anything in your life as a general whole, or is it pretty much going about the same speed as it was?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that last part again? Sorry.
Have you? I noticed. I mean, I know you've noticed you've had a personality change, but have you noticed anything in your life that's changed since you started the clothing line?
I would say, anything that's changed because of I don't know. I would say the clothing line has made me more of a kind of a worker of like, going out of my way to get things done. I'm a very laid back kind of person. I kind of let things come to me. I guess some might call it lazy. But I work hard when need to, but this clothing line business just gave me a new reason, a new motivation to, get out there and start going from place to place and, sell my stuff, merchandise, advertise. It gave me not only a personality change in terms of mentality or consciousness, but also physically. It's, I think, okay, well, I always have Mondays off. What am I going to do about my business on Mondays? It gets me in a different thinking zone because of that.
Cool. So basically, you've had some major positive change in your life by taking on a positive apparel line.
Yeah. Not to say that, you need to start your own positive apparel company in order to do so. I started out with I don't even want to call it a book, but just like a novel of just different thoughts that I've had about society, in relation to just anything, just America, religion, biases, race, it was just all over the place. And I noticed that the message at the end of that was just positivity and love was pretty much, what I was realizing that was not the answer to everything because, you need a balance in life. But I noticed that was kind of like the reoccurring theme essentially. But yeah, in my own lane, in my own world, starting the positive clothing apparel company, it opened doors for me in terms of thinking and positivity.
Cool. Has anybody actually approached you for wanting to put your clothing line in their store or anything like that?
No, I wish, because that would be great. But I've had friends or friends of friends that have offered to put my stuff in their stores. So yes, to answer your question, but not a complete stranger or someone who, it's hard. Fashion is very hard when it comes to sometimes people just see you wearing a shirt and that's it. Other people are intrigued by fashion and they want to learn more about why you're wearing what you're wearing and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, no. I have my car, which it says Juan Love Apparel on it. It's like stickers all over the car. So whenever I'm at gas stations or I get to a parking lot, people do ask me, "Oh, what's Juan Love Apparel?" And I get to talk to them about that. But I've never had anyone come up to me, knowingly that it's my clothing line, and they were like, "Oh, I want you to put my stuff in your, in my store, and me not knowing the person.
I guess the flip side of that, have you actually taken up any of your friends on their offer to display your wares?
Yeah. So I have a friend in Keene, New Hampshire. He owns the Colony Antiques on, I believe it's Emerald Street. And he was very nice enough to let me do, to offer that, let me do that. Um, there was another woman who I met in Raymond, New Hampshire, and she was very nice, and she offered for me to put my things in there. However, with her, it was more of a kind of like a deal. It was, if you sell your stuff here, I make a certain percentage and that kind of stuff. So I didn't take her up on her offer just because it's a very small town, so I didn't necessarily go for it. But I am like looking around and seeing like what the process of that might be, because I'm gonna get more hoodies printed out. So I'm gonna have, right now I have, I think, 20 different types of apparel that you can purchase. So, and with this new order, I'm gonna have at least 30 different types. So, the bigger I get, the more space I'm gonna need, and hopefully I can find someone or a store that I can, put my stuff in.
Cool. And yeah, especially with your, you shouldn't have a problem finding a place to stick your stuff in.
Yeah, that would, I mean, that would be great. I mean, it's I see my brand as something that's positive, that is, you don't have to wear it in order to believe in it, but just for you to see it or just have it, in terms of like just come across it, it just gets you thinking. So I just want to be able. I don't, if I don't sell a shirt from now until the end of time, but my shirts are in every store that you can think of, I would take that because, it's more so people are coming across it and like, oh, I know this brand, or I know what this brand is about. And, let me look up what cool tea has today, that kind of stuff. Like, it's, I just think that we need to be a little bit more conscious about ourselves instead of worrying about what the other person is doing. Because I used to struggle, doing that very much so back, way back when.
Right. All right. So I guess the printing process is something that needs to be discussed since everybody has their own process. Do you go to an actual
hmm
um, fashion person, or whenever you do your shirts, or basically what's the process for taking a design from completion to actually being made into a t-shirt?
Right, for it to be materialized and in your hand. So while I was in Keene, New Hampshire, which is, it was back in February when I first started the company. I was shopping around. I was just Googling. This is the great thing about 2019, about our generation, is that you can just go on your phone, go on your laptop, and look up anything and everything you want, and you will get some sort of result. But I was just Googling screen printing places near me, embroidery places near me, vinyl. I was just Googling everything, and I got addresses and I got phone numbers, and I just went into every single store, and I was, negotiating, bargaining, whatever you want to call it, talking to these people about, listen, this is who I am, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm looking to find a consistent supplier, so to make this the easiest transition possible. So found somebody in Keene, Bees Tees. Kyle was great, and after that, I got my first batch of hoodies printed. But once I got the hoodies printed, I only had the quote and the chest logo on it. I had to get the hoodie laces because my logo was printed on, or I wanted my logo to be printed on the hoodie laces, which is something that to my knowledge, I don't think any company does it, but I'm pretty sure somebody does it because no one ever has the first idea ever. So I I wanted to be different in terms of putting my logo on my laces, on the hoodie laces. So I emailed a uh, a factory in China, and pretty much, I was emailing a whole bunch of them, and I got fond of one, and I ordered a bulk order of hoodie laces with my logo printed on them in three different colors, and yeah, and I after I had everything printed on them, I had to swap out the hoodie laces, which was probably the worst uh, feeling or pain that my hands have ever felt before. But it was a pain that I was like, I love this pain. It's very enjoyable. But yeah, I just had to switch out all the hoodie laces, and I had over 120, I think, hoodies. So I had to change out 120 laces back to back to back. It only took me, honestly, it only took me like 5 or 6 hours, so it wasn't that bad. But at the end of it, like my hands, I was like, wow, like this is real work. Like this is really enjoyable.
Talk about masochism. All right. So basically, have you thought about going through something, actually putting your stuff on something like Amazon or Etsy?
Yeah, so I did put myself on Etsy. I don't think I finished putting the store together because I started to do this a little bit towards the beginning when I wasn't like actually sure on like what exactly I was gonna have and the quantity and that kind of stuff. So I didn't actually put it together. But it's up, but it's not published. I think the better word is. And for Amazon though, a lot of people have been telling me about Amazon, and honestly, I think I'm going to use tonight after our conversation to see, what are the charges to put my stuff on Amazon and that kind of stuff because Amazon is the biggest shipping company at this point. So, why not have my stuff on there? Currently, I have it on Facebook, Instagram, my own website, OneLoveApparel.com, eBay, and Etsy. I believe those are the only places I have it on right now.
Yeah, the thing you'll have to watch out with Amazon is, especially with apparel, they want you to be extremely detailed, especially about where it's from and all that. So be prepared
Oh,
to give
like
up.
about what's the word? On like what specific like fabric you're using and the sizing and all that, like measurements, that kind of stuff they want.
Yeah, they also want the country of origin.
Okay, good to know.
So yeah, honestly, I've never looked into it before. So I think there are some fees associated with it, but not terribly bad.
Okay.
So, and I was going to ask you about print on demand, but obviously with the way you're doing your hoodie strings, that's not going to apply here.
Well, it's an idea that I want to do. So at the moment, you can only buy a focus on the positive, positive and negative design quote on blue and white hoodies and long sleeves, or maroon and pink long sleeves or hoodies, or the red limited edition hoodies that I have or long sleeves. Um, but what I want to do is I want to be able to put, positive and negative, focus on the positive on, let's say, a green and orange, shirt that I have, for a different design. So I want to be able to mix and match all the colors and the designs with one another. So if you love the, no dream too big quote and design, but it's only available in gray and blue or green and orange, and you want it, let's say, in blue and white, then I want to be able to do that for you. So eventually I'm going to get big enough to a point where I can just print on demand in terms of, hey, Juan, I want, positive and negative on a yellow hoodie. Can you do this for me? Yeah. Okay. And that, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah, when you have to understand when somebody like me starts saying print on demand, we're talking about a site that actually you upload your design onto, and then
Oh, okay.
they print and then whenever somebody orders something, they print out the particular design on the particular item as it's ordered.
Got you. Okay, I misunderstood.
No problem.
But no, I don't. At least not right now. I don't think that that's something I would do. I mean, an idea that I this is off the top of my head. An idea that I could have is if they want to follow the same what's the word, schematics, I guess is the word that I follow. So if they want to do a clip art image on the chest and then a quote on the arm, and they want it to be their own quote, and then I make it, that might be like the closest that I might get. But in terms of like if you send me a picture of your dog or your parakeet, that I don't think that I can see myself just printing on demand for that kind of stuff.
Oh no, this is uh, a site to look up would be like Zazzle, Zazzle or Cafe Press, where basically you go to it and you can actually look through all the various designs that are available and actually have it printed on various subjects. But that's
Okay.
end user type stuff. I mean, you as the person running the shop could have, suggest various types of things, but like your design, for example, on a blue shirt, for example, whereas the person who's actually buying it could actually switch out the type of shirt or the type of color for it. But that's print on demand gets all sorts of weird. So the problem is, of course, with you is that you wouldn't be able to do it because of your hoodie strings. So
exactly correct. That makes sense.
So I was just curious if you'd actually pursued that at some point previous. Just out of curiosity, how much does it run for you? Run for like a lot of the hoodies? Your cost, not the actual.
Right, not what it costs to sell the.
Basically, I'm looking at wholesale versus retail here.
Right. I mean, it depends also because I get the hoodies from one place and then I take them somewhere else to get them printed on, and that in itself is expensive. So sometimes my markup is never more than like 30%. So like my hoodies are $30 and my long sleeves are $20. So you can do the math and imagine that it's not that great of a markup. But yeah, it's just it's right now. I know that I'm only ordering 120 hoodies at a time or long sleeves at a time, so the markup isn't going to be there. But when you start to manufacture 1,000 at a time, like these big companies are, then the markup rate would be a lot higher because a company like H&M, they, well, I mean, Nike, I know for sure, they most likely don't pay more than 20 cents per shirt or $1 per shirt. I don't actually know the numbers, but and the markup and all that kind of stuff. So eventually I would like to reach that point, but that's going to take a lot of hard work in itself.
First off, does about $14 to $21 sound about right?
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher, but yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Honest, I don't do math on the fly. But yeah, so basically you're paying about $15 to $20 for a shirt that you're actually selling for about $20 to $30.
Correct, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, just trying to put in some sort of price in there because with print on demand the price goes a little bit up there, but that's because you're not, you've got to pay for a middleman source. You're not paying that middleman cost. So.
Yeah, correct, right.
So just trying to be a little bit more informational on for pretty much everybody out there that basically if you've got the money to actually do this, obviously if you can do the wholesale by yourself and you don't have to go through the print on demand, that's great. But some people have to do print on demand because of cost issues. So.
Right. And I can understand. I can truly understand why.
Just out of curiosity, because it sounds like you actually are doing pretty well. How many shirts are you actually selling a month? Just out of curiosity.
Well, if you really want me to be honest, so when I first started selling, it went pretty well. I got rid of almost half of my inventory within a month, and that was just mainly friends, supporting and. Friends of friends or people that worked with my mom. But again, I only have long sleeves and hoodies at the moment. My hats are actually going to be done by the end of this week, which is pretty exciting. But with the hoodies and long sleeves, only having them over the summer, because they were, by the time I started in February, like I mentioned, I was done with printing and everything, by April, I think April. So it was already starting to get warm out. I live in New Hampshire, so we get all 4 seasons. So it was starting to get a lot. We started to get rain in spring, so people were still buying hoodies. But when it started to get 80, 90 degrees this entire summer, I wasn't selling as many. But the past couple weeks, I went a whole month without selling anything. I think it was July, and then August I started to sell a couple more a week, and that was like a nice, like, oh wow, like that's right, it's starting to get cooler, so people are gonna start to buy these. So I also included a sale for my hoodies. For their, I think, I believe it should be the 30 or 40% off. They're 17.99 right now for my hoodies instead of 30. So all you have to do is just pay for shipping, and you get your discounted hoodie.
Okay. Yeah, I would expect a lull in the sales every so often, especially given you are basically doing what amounts to a relatively seasonal item.
Correct.
So,
Yeah. The hats, they're year round, which is awesome. So I expect better numbers with them, but of course you can't count your chickens before they hatch, kind of thing.
right.
But I want to expand into t-shirts, crew necks, sweatpants. Like I've created a lot of designs, baby clothes. It's just a lot, and I'm really excited for it, to be honest.
Just out of curiosity, have you thought about any kind of looking for an investor of any kind, or even crowdsourcing?
Um, my uncle, he's one of the bigger shippers for Barnes and Noble and that kind of stuff. So he offered, but I personally wanted to. I'm a very stubborn, hard-headed guy. So like he was like, I can help you out with such and such, and I said no, I want to see what I can do with my own hands. I want to see what I can put into it, so that way I can know exactly what I can know exactly what impact, what effect I'm having. But if I were to ever, I'm never gonna shoot down an investor or anything like that. That's something that a conversation should be had, and it's like, okay, this is how I feel about my brand. Let me see what you feel about my brand. Where are you at? Is it for this? Is it for that? What are your reasonings? But I'll never ignore somebody for something like that or anything like that. But at the end of the day, though, I do want this to be my brand. So I would put that out there of it's Juan Love Apparel. It's something that I truly and genuinely believe in. So if I don't get the final say in our partnership or anything like that, then I don't want it.
Yeah, that single proprietorship is definitely something worth looking for.
Yep.
So, all right. Tracy, is there anything else you'd like to add to the conversation?
Well, again, I appreciate you taking time out of your day for doing this. We didn't hear much from your parakeets, though. I know you warned me about them. But for anybody that is interested, though, you can visit juanloveapparel.com. That's JUAN, love, LOVE, apparel, APPAREL.com. And you can see all the different types of apparel I have on there. You can follow me on social media. That's the same spelling, Juan Love Apparel, all across the board: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Please follow. I have under 200 followers on Instagram. It's something that I noticed that people might not be following because it's other people aren't following. But I'd appreciate any kind of support, whether it's a like, subscribe, follow, all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it. And if you have any, if you just anybody that ever just wants to talk, and you can DM me, and I would be more than happy to converse with anybody, if I have time, of course. No, yeah, it's I appreciate you for having me on here.
No problem. Just out of curiosity, has anybody given you actually any comments on your food, on what any kind of life of changing events in their life that they've taken because of your shirts, or is it just you pretty much are just simply selling it at this point?
No, it's that's actually another reason why I love doing this, because I have people that I have people that have bought every single type of apparel, the same quote or the same design, because they tell me, they're like, it means such and such to me. It means this to me, I truly believe in this, or, whatever the case, whatever their reasoning might be. I've had a handful of people, a little bit more, come up to me and say, I really love what you're doing. I really believe in this, and I want to, I want to own this, and I love it. That's the dog losing his mind. But no, I love when people, have that attachment to that.
Yeah, it's always good to have when somebody has a personal investment in what they're wearing.
Right. I believe it was Bob Marley. I'm gonna butcher the quote. I'm usually good with quotes, ironically. But Bob Marley was talking about, rich isn't having money or wealth or anything like that. It's being rich in the soul. It's viewing life with appreciation, and he just went on about it. And I that was one of my favorite quotes that I love, and of course I can't remember it. But I also take advice in like those types of speeches, speeches, very personal, because when you look at a conversation between two people, it's always usually one person telling the other person what to do. Like, it's like kind of, oh, well, I have school this week. Oh, well, maybe you should go, and instead of going to the bars or something. It's usually how like conversation works. But like 9 times out of 10, like, you're gonna find like a gem or something worth listening to from that person. Everybody has their own experiences, and if you listen closely enough, you might be able to apply it to your own life and be able to relate and realize that we're all very connected and we're all very similar, as even though we don't like to admit it.
All right, that's definitely a cool thought. No. And just to close out the podcast, obviously, if you like the podcast and you like what you're hearing, you can support me at patreon.com/twosparrows, TWO. Check that out, because we've got all sorts of tips and tricks, and we're actually working on getting show notes up and going. So definitely check us out and spend a couple dollars there. And definitely go to Juan Love Apparel.
Thank you. Again, I really appreciate you taking time out of your day. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to check out your website and all that kind of stuff.
All right, thanks. And definitely, don't worry, it's definitely not wasting part of my time today. Thanks for coming on. I mean, you're the one who's actually putting the effort here. So, all right, well, have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.